Hey everyone, MajinBird here, and today we'll be talking about actually one of the most interesting topics I've seen done in anime, taking two of the main gods in a popular series and swapping their main fight. My favorite one I've seen so far is Sasuke fighting Pain, and Naruto fighting Itachi. Today, however, we will be talking about what if Goku and Vegeta swap fights in Dragon Ball Z. In the future, if you guys like this type of content, I will also do Dragon Ball Super and GT. Just leave a comment below. Now, without further ado, let's get into the video. Just to briefly talk about Dragon Ball, Kid Vegeta pretty much solos the entire series. King Piccolo, the Red Ribbon Army, anyone in the Budokai tournaments would fold in the face of this Vegeta pretty easily. Even as a kid, Vegeta was much stronger than his father King Vegeta, and he could easily destroy planets with the flick of his wrist. We also see Vegeta easily dealing with Cybermen who all should be stronger than Raditz, or at least around his level. The only person who could give Kid Vegeta a problem would be Devilman, if he could hit him with his beam attack, since it should have at least 1 ounce of evil inside him. Goku, however, would struggle with Vegeta's childhood life, mainly because of his basic training he received on Earth, and how he would struggle with the ×10 gravity on planet Vegeta. And it's important to remember that Goku's childhood is the main reason for how he is the man he is today. However, knowing Goku, he would train and do much better over time. However, struggle nonetheless, especially if he came across an alien as strong as a Cyberman or something like that, which could be bad for Kid Goku for sure. Now, moving on to Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta and Piccolo versus Raditz. In this case, Vegeta doesn't actually need the Piccolo health that Goku did. In fact, he would probably just slow him down. Vegeta with the power level of 18,000 would easily dispose of Raditz. Goku versus Alien. If Goku had to fight aliens in space at this point in the series, I think he would do better than as a kid for sure. However, if he runs into any planets with extreme gravity or Cybermen level threat, he's out of there. Vegeta versus Snake Queen. She gets done worse than Raditz pretty much. Vegeta just swipes his hand and she's toast. Now, Goku versus Vegeta is a little fun. Of course they fought already and we know how that goes. But Goku having to fight Vegeta, Gohan, and Krillin and Yajirobe, just like Vegeta did, pretty fun to see. And despite the beating Vegeta did endure, I think Goku would have done far worse fighting Vegeta, especially with Gohan, Krillin, and Yajirobe giving him a hard time as well. He'd have to deal with that, plus Destructo Disc, Gohan's Rage Amps, possibly Grade 8, and Yajirobe's Sword Slice. In all honesty, I think it would just be a little overwhelming for the Saiyan. Now, moving on to Planet Namek, we put Goku in a bit of a Mortal Kombat situation here. And the question is, can Goku go to the unstoppable run Vegeta did back then? And I think the answer is yes, just maybe not so easily. And here's why. Goku versus 𝗕𝗫𝗅𝗧𝗏, Zarbon, and some Frieza soldiers can go 2 different ways. Since we know that Goku got a Zenkai, but we don't know how much it was, here's what we do. We can either give him the 90,000 power level that he had when he was training on his way to Namek, which is a bit of a slaughter, or we can give him a power level of 1500 and give him the same 6,000 boost to his Zenkai that Vegeta got, since we don't actually know how much his Zenkai boost was, but either way, with the help of his Kaioken, he should be able to handle them pretty easily, just not receiving many boosts in between fights like Vegeta did. Now, the next fight was actually supposed to happen probably, but Vegeta bailed. Goku versus Jace and Vegeta versus Captain Ginyu. Goku beats Jace pretty easily, since originally they were supposed to fight, but since he was scared of Goku, he got Captain Ginyu to help, which pretty much tells us how that fight would have went. As for Vegeta though, I don't think he'll actually do so well. Let's say he was as strong as he was in the fight against First Form Frieza. He's more powerful than Captain Ginyu for sure, but he probably gets body changed anyway, just like he does in the original series. For some reason, Ginyu's body change seems to happen pretty fast, and only Goku was able to react to it both times, so it's a good chance he'd be hit by it. Now, Goku versus First, Second, and Third Form Frieza goes pretty bad for the Emperor, unless we use Goku with the 90,000 power level, in which case Kaioken ×10 Goku would effortlessly beat First Form Frieza, unless you think that Goku could use Kaioken ×20 at this point in the series, in which case he should fare well against First and Second Form Frieza, capping at the Third Form I'd say. If we give his power level of 3 million as when he came out of the healing chamber, he would just straight up bully Frieza here, and this would be an equal stomp, kinda like how Kid Vegeta soloed Dragon Ball, just no debate here. And that would pretty much conclude the Frieza Saga. Now, moving on to the Android Saga, we have Vegeta versus aliens, or whatever Goku had to encounter in space during his Yard Drag training, which at this point in the series, Vegeta should be able to handle just about everything out there. And we can say the same for Goku. When Vegeta was out in space and looking for Goku, he was fighting a lot of Frieza soldiers, but they should be easily defeated by Goku, so nothing here. Vegeta versus Mecha Frieza and King Cold, however, goes very differently. In the hot timeline, Goku is the one who has to save everyone from Frieza returning, so Vegeta would have to fight a stronger Frieza and King Cold, who should at the very least be relative to him. We've seen how Vegeta versus Frieza went, so yeah, he gets beat pretty bad here. Even with help from the Sea Fighters, it just wouldn't go very well in his favor at all. The next fight will be Vegeta versus Trunks instead of Goku. And since Trunks is stronger than both Frieza and King Cold, yeah. Goku versus Android 18. Now, according to most, and possibly even Goku himself, he should lose this fight. Evidence for this can start as early as Piccolo stating that Vegeta was stronger, and since he's been training with Goku for 3 years, he should have an accurate gauge of Goku's power. Goku also states that when he's out of his coma, that if Vegeta couldn't beat the androids, he can't either. So, logically, 18 should win. However, when Goku first woke up from the heart virus and goes to save Tien and Piccolo from semi-perfect Cell, Cell wasn't able to hit Goku in the final moment before he escapes, or barely keep up with his speed. Cell even says to himself that he won't allow Goku to escape and rushes at him, just for Goku to vanish away in an instant. Now, many people say that this was Goku using instant transmission, and I don't have a problem with that. All that with me at this time is that Goku can use it without using his finger. Regardless, however, that type of speed would be hard for anyone to deal with, especially Android 18, who is much slower than semi-perfect Cell. So if you granted Goku this in a fight with Android 18, I would say it could be interesting. But not to make this video any longer than it already will be, we'll just say that 18 wins, which you can make arguments for in the comment section below, and I'll be there to read them. Goku versus semi-perfect Cell goes pretty bad for Goku. In this case, his speed won't be able to save him from Cell's power, and we know that when Cell is desperate, he would destroy the Earth as a win condition. So nothing Goku can do here would grant him the win. Now, moving on to Vegeta versus perfect Cell during the Cell game. Vegeta doesn't beat Cell at all. In fact, he does much worse than Goku. If you ask me, I think Cell actually holds a grudge towards Vegeta, since he gave Goku and Trunks a good fight, but he made sure he made an example out of him. So it's possible Cell just shows Vegeta right from the start what's up, but if he treats him like he did Goku, Vegeta should do as good as him, at least right up until Goku shows his full power, since Vegeta at that point questioned how Goku even got as strong as he did. He also says later that Goku and now his son has surpassed him. And that concludes the Cell Saga. Vegeta versus 𝗕𝗏𝗄. This is a bit of a weird one. When Goku fought 𝗕𝗏𝗄, it's hard to say how long ago from Cell this was. Since Goku didn't go Super Saiyan 2 during his fight, I think it's fair to say that Vegeta doesn't have it either, so this one will go to 𝗕𝗏𝗄. However, if we use start of the Buu Saga Vegeta, he should be able to deal with 𝗕𝗏𝗄 pretty easily. Now, moving on to the Buu Saga. We have Goku versus 𝗕𝗏𝗄 and Vegeta versus 𝗕𝗏𝗄. Pretty much a similar situation as in canon. They both will easily dispose of Babidi's henchmen. Now, this next fight is very brief, but when Goku did revive, he engaged in combat with Buu tanks for quite a bit. If we replace him with Vegeta here, I suppose it is possible he would die, since this version of Buu would be a lot for him to handle. The Super Saiyan 3 Goku is having a bit of a hard time himself, though Vegeta is shown to be very resilient and takes damage from even Buuhan before, so possibly he can survive long enough for Buu tanks to defuse. But other than that, Goku and Vegeta pretty much fight Buu the entire time until he's beaten. But for a bonus, we could do end of Z Vegeta and 𝗚. Hypothetically, if 𝗚 was as strong as Kid Buu, even in the state that he was fighting Goku in, he should be a formidable opponent. Now this fight can go two different ways depending on how you look at it. If we add Dragon Ball Super into this fight, it might change the dynamic. In the original, Vegeta and Goku found it impressive for 𝗚 to contain power that was similar to Kid Buu. I think it's pretty reasonable to assume that this is a great reaction from them. Now if it's from curiosity or fear, that's a different question. This is Goku and Vegeta 10 years after the Buu Saga. Give them all the crazy power-ups they acquired in Super, and Vegeta would surely beat 𝗚, I think, in my opinion. But if Super isn't included, the fight will probably be closer than you think. It's hard to say if Vegeta trained during those 10 years, though more than likely he did, since GC was intended to be a continuation of Z, and he clearly got stronger since then. Vegeta also said he would never fight again, and pushed himself for 7 years straight right after, so more than likely he's been training. Would it be enough to surpass Kid Buu though, is the question. This is a bit hard for me to answer. Vegeta is no doubt a prodigy and works extremely hard, though we've seen him train for long periods of time and not really improve dramatically. I'm gonna let you guys decide the winner of this one in the comment section below. In addition to that, let me know if you guys like this type of content and would be interested in me making other versions of this video, such as GT, Super, or possibly even movies as well. Until next time, guys. Hey everyone, MajinBird here, and today we'll be talking about what if Goku and Vegeta swap fights in Dragon Ball Super. This is a continuation of an ongoing series I've created on this channel. Previously, we swapped all of Goku and Vegeta's fights in Dragon Ball Z, and you guys seem to like it. I've got plenty of comments telling me to continue it. So without further ado, let's hop into it. Vegeta versus Beerus, King Kai Planet, Goku versus Beerus. Oh my shit. This presents an intriguing scenario that could potentially unfold similar to the original canon, with a few notable exceptions. Under normal circumstances, the outcomes of these battles will remain likely unchanged, as depicted in the original storyline. In the swap scenario, if Beerus were to utilize the same level of power against Vegeta on King Kai's planet as he did against Goku, it could potentially lead to Vegeta's demise. Despite Goku's strength in his Super Saiyan 3 form, Vegeta's rage-induced power boost aboard Bulma's ship suggests that he might have been stronger than Goku at that particular moment. Therefore, if Beerus were to exert the same power that he did against Vegeta as to Goku, it would expel death for him as well. Although we know that Beerus wasn't trying to kill the Saiyans at this time, so he would hold back in both scenarios. But if he swapped the level of power he used to stop one another, it would render in the other's death. Make sense? Super Saiyan God Vegeta versus Beerus. The Goku vs. Beerus clash is widely regarded as one of the highlights of Dragon Ball Super, showcasing breathtaking animation and high-stakes combat. Transferring this exhilarating battle to Vegeta's domain opens up a realm of possibilities for captivating storytelling and thrilling action sequences. In this swap scenario, Vegeta would face off against Beerus with the same fiery determination and unwavering resolve that defines his character. With the power of Super Saiyan God coursing through him, Vegeta would unleash a barrage of devastating attacks, matching Beerus blow for blow. Assuming that Super Saiyan God imparts similar techniques to all who wield his power, Vegeta would likely absorb the essence of this divine form into his Super Saiyan transformation, unleashing a spectacle of display of power and skill against the God of Destruction. However, the most intriguing aspect of this swap lies in the climax of the battle, where Goku famously absorbed Beerus' Spear of Destruction technique, then transcended into Super Saiyan God once more to counterattack. This pivotal moment demonstrated Goku's incredible strength of will and his deep love for his friends and family, driving him to achieve new heights of power. The question then arises, will Vegeta be capable of replicating this feat? If he can harness a similar inner strength and tap into the same depths of determination as Goku, he may stand a chance against Beerus' devastating attack. However, if he falls short, the consequences could be dire, spelling the end for Vegeta and the world as they know it. Vegeta versus Frieza first, then Goku. Swapping Vegeta's battle with Frieza to be his first encounter in the Dragon Ball Super series is a recipe for utmost tragedy and despair. In the swap scenario, Frieza would undoubtedly relish the opportunity to extend his hand in an offer of allegiance to Vegeta, hoping to exploit any lingering resentment and anger towards Goku. However, true to his Saiyan pride, Vegeta would definitely reject Frieza's offer, refusing to compromise his principles for the sake of power. With Vegeta standing in his way, Frieza would likely be more eager to dispose of him swiftly, viewing him as little more than an annoying obstacle to hinder his ultimate goal of exacting revenge upon Goku. Unlike his drawn-out battle with Goku in the original timeline, Frieza would opt for a more expedient approach with Vegeta, seeking to eliminate him as quickly as possible. As Frieza inflicts relentless torment upon Vegeta, Goku will offer his assistance, recognizing the dire situation his fellow Saiyan warrior is facing. However, Vegeta, driven by his pride and determination, would stubbornly refuse Goku's aid, choosing to confront Frieza alone. Eventually, as Vegeta's strength wanes and Frieza's onslaught becomes overwhelming, Goku will be forced to intervene, stepping in to protect his comrade. Yet, just in the original battle, Goku's momentary lapse in focus would leave him vulnerable to 𝗕𝗫𝗅𝗍's treacherous attack, resulting in a critical injury. In a desperate bid to turn the tide of the battle, Vegeta will be revived with a senzu bean, unleashing the full extent of his powers in a furious assault against Frieza. In a moment of unchecked rage and vengeance, Vegeta would inadvertently eliminate 𝗕𝗫𝗅𝗍, fueling his determination to vanquish Frieza once and for all. However, with no more senzu beans left to heal Goku, Vegeta's focus would shift solely to avenging his fallen comrade, driving him to push Frieza to the brink of defeat. And in a cruel twist of fate, Frieza will resort to his most devastating attack, obliterating the Earth and condemning both him and Vegeta to a tragic demise in the vacuum of space. In this somber and heart-wrenching conclusion, the absence of Goku's presence alongside Whis would seal the fate of the Saiyan Prince and his rival, leaving the Dragon Ball universe plunged into darkness and despair. Only the intervention of a merciful deity like Beerus could possibly offer a glimmer of hope in an otherwise bleak and tragic tale. If you guys don't remember, Goku was standing close to Whis during this explosion, so it saved him and allowed him a chance to go back in time and reverse the effects. But since Goku wouldn't be near them, it could spell the end for everything. Vegeta versus 𝗕𝗤𝗧. Swapping Vegeta's battle with 𝗕𝗤𝗧 in the Universe 6 saga of the Dragon Ball Super Tournament would undoubtedly be one of the more straightforward exchanges in the series. Given Vegeta's tactical prowess and combat experience, it's safe to say that he would approach this match with a level-headed strategy and a clear path to victory. In the original scenario, it was Vegeta who recognized 𝗕𝗤𝗧's unique ability to nullify attacks and suggested to Goku the idea of throwing him out of the ring. This demonstrates Vegeta's sharp analytical skills and his willingness to adapt to the situation at hand. With that said, Vegeta would advance. Vegeta versus Frost. When contemplating the scenario of Vegeta facing Frost, it's intriguing to consider the various outcomes this matchup could yield. Given Vegeta's complex history with the time of Frieza, his encounter with Frost can unfold in one of two distinct ways. First possibility mirrors the events of the original battle, where Vegeta swiftly dispatches Frost with a single blow, much like he did with Frieza. Fueled by his deep-seated animosity towards anything reminiscent of Frieza, Vegeta may choose to unleash his full power in a Super Saiyan transformation, intending to obliterate Frost without hesitation. Vegeta may view Frost as a mere imitation of his longtime adversary, thereby motivating him to dispose of Frost with minimal effort. This scenario will likely culminate in Vegeta unleashing a devastating attack that overwhelms Frost, leaving him incapacitated and eliminated from the tournament. However, an alternate outcome presents itself, one that mirrors the complexities of Vegeta's character and his journey towards redemption. Despite his profound disdain for Frieza, Vegeta may recognize Frost as a separate entity, deserving a fair fight. In this scenario, Vegeta may initially engage Frost in battle without resorting to his Super Saiyan form, at least right out the gate. However, Frost's cunning nature may come into play, as he employs underhanded tactics to gain the upper hand. Much like the original encounter with Goku, Frost may resort to using his poison needle to incapacitate Vegeta, catching him off guard and leaving him vulnerable to defeat. The second may be the more likely outcome, but I can still see Vegeta charging at Frost regardless. Kinda just depends how he's feeling, I guess. Goku versus Vegeta. The prospect of a battle between Goku and Vegeta is indeed intriguing, especially considering Vegeta's considerable strength and Goku's tactical prowess. Vegeta's abilities, including his incredible durability and magma-based attacks, present a unique challenge for Goku to overcome. One aspect to consider is Goku's approach to combat. Unlike Vegeta, who resorted to insults to weaken Vegeta's confidence, Goku typically approaches his fights in a more straightforward and respectful demeanor. This means that Goku wouldn't be able to figure out Vegeta's weakness and focus on psychological attacks. Instead, he would likely focus on assessing Vegeta's strengths and weaknesses, while strategizing how to counter them effectively. Vegeta's durability and resilience make him a formidable opponent, as evident by his ability to withstand powerful attacks and remain standing. However, Goku's mastery of various forms of techniques, including Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Blue, and Kaioken, provides him with a wide range of options to adapt to. And even if it's not stronger than Vegeta for whatever reason, it will be enough to ring him out for sure. Goku versus Hit, then Vegeta. In envisioning the rematch between Goku and Hit, we need to draw parallels between their original encounter. Goku's observant nature, honed by watching Hit's battle with Vegeta, undoubtedly provided valuable insight into Hit's fighting style and techniques. By carefully studying Hit's movements and strategies, Goku gained a better understanding of how to counter his opponent's attacks. However, despite Goku's keen observations and newfound knowledge, the outcome of the rematch ultimately hinges on 𝗕𝗫𝗅's unparalleled battle genius. 𝗕𝗫's mastery of time skip techniques and strategic prowess allowed him to maintain the upper hand throughout much of the battle. Despite Goku's best efforts, 𝗕𝗫's ability to anticipate his opponent's moves and adapt to his strategy accordingly proven to be a formidable challenge to overcome. In reflecting on the battle, Goku humbly acknowledges the pivotal role played by the Galactic Patrol King's revelation about 𝗕𝗫's time skipping ability. Goku admits that without this crucial piece of information, he may not have been able to devise an effective counter strategy to combat 𝗕𝗫's formidable technique. He did also have the fight with Vegeta to watch. However, I don't think this would have mattered too much. Goku most likely would have still devised a strategy against him, since Goku being aware of this technique didn't necessarily do anything for him, even though he humbly says that it does. Goku seeing the way 𝗕𝗫 fought and tried to counter him by predicting where he might go was simply Goku's idea. Regardless, in a moment of desperation or inspiration, Goku may tap into his Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken technique that grants him enhanced speed, strength, and perception by pushing his body to its limits. With that, regardless if Goku knew about 𝗕𝗫's time skip ability or not, he would be able to move within the time skip later on, or at least perceive it, and then he will become aware of the ability, of course. Though, regardless if Goku goes first or second, he will lose to 𝗕𝗫. Vegeta going second, though, may guarantee dispel for the universe. It seemed poetic the way Goku lost and 𝗕𝗫 allowed 𝗪𝗏𝗁 to win the tournament. If Vegeta was second, and then 𝗪𝗏𝗁 after that, 𝗕𝗫 might not have been so generous. Regardless of Vegeta's intel, he would no doubtably beat him. So Champa would win, I guess. Vegeta versus 𝗪𝗏𝗁 Beerus. At this time, Goku and Vegeta should be more relative and based in the Universe 6 and 7 tournament. Regardless though, it's just Beerus having a fun sparring match. So Vegeta should be fine. No real outcome of this fight, unless it goes on for too long. Then Beerus will win, obviously. Vegeta versus Copy Goku. This is my favorite swap, and not only because of the fight necessarily, but just concept-wise. It will pretty much be evil Goku. Why not imagine that will be similar to the old evil Goku of the past? Not like Goku Black though. In this fight, it's clear Goku and Vegeta are around the same in terms of power here. So if 𝗪𝗏𝗁 steps on the crystal again, he should be able to use that opportunity to beat Goku. Unless Copy Goku uses Kaioken before this happens, in which case Vegeta would lose actually. Debatable if this version of Goku could do it, but if so, it's game over. Vegeta versus Goku Black, first encounter. I like this matchup. Any Goku or Vegeta look-alike versus the original has always been interesting to me. Since Vegeta went Super Saiyan Blue right off the bat versus Goku Black when he fought him originally, for whatever reason, let's just say that he does it here too. This fight has a time limit, so unless Vegeta beats Black before he inevitably returns to Trunks' timeline, it will be undecided. Blue Vegeta has the power, however, to easily beat Black here if he wanted to. It would just be about how much power Vegeta decides to output. Realistically though, it'll be undecided. Goku versus Goku Black, second encounter. So with this one, it won't change too much really. Goku should do better than Vegeta did, which would really be the only difference. Goku Black still beats Goku and Vegeta, and emerges victorious. Vegeta versus Zamasu, sparring match. This actually would be a really cool match. Of course Vegeta would win, but that's not the point. Seeing Vegeta using Super Saiyan 2, or just Super Saiyan in general, is always cool to me. With all the Super Saiyan Blue spamming they do all the time, seeing the OG forms can be refreshing. But yeah, Vegeta wins. Goku versus Goku Black, last time. In this hypothetical scenario where Vegeta faces Zamasu and confronts Goku Black, the dynamics of this battle would indeed shift, but the overall outcome may still align closely with the original canon fights. Vegeta's relentless assault on Zamasu, fueled by his Saiyan pride and determination to protect his loved ones, will likely result in a similar outcome to the canon battle. Zamasu will find himself overwhelmed by Vegeta's ferocious attacks, unable to defend himself against the Saiyan's relentless barrage. Meanwhile, Goku's encounter with Goku Black will present a different set of challenges. Despite Black's formidable power and menacing aura of Merge Zamasu looming in the background, Goku's experience and tactical prowess will give him the edge in battle. Goku's surprising resilience and hidden strength, especially after his intense battle with Goku Black and Zamasu, would serve him well in this fight. His ability to push his limits and tap into the power of Kaioken, albeit sparingly, would provide him with the necessary power boost to confront Goku Black head-on. Remember later on, Goku did the best against Merge Zamasu in one-on-one combat. He was actually the first one to hurt him as well. That said, I think he has a power output sufficient enough to deal with Goku Black, or at least put up as good of a fight as Vegeta did. Vegeta versus 𝗕𝗫, second encounter. Despite Vegeta's tenacity and fighting spirit, 𝗕𝗫's unparalleled skill and mastery of time manipulation techniques ensure that this confrontation is resolved swiftly and decisively. With Vegeta's defeat occurring in the blink of an eye, 𝗕𝗫 emerges victorious, further solidifying his reputation as one of the most formidable warriors in the multiverse. And that pretty much wraps up that part of the story. Now we're moving on to the Tournament of Power. And just to be clear from the get-go here, there are a lot of fights that Goku and Vegeta have individually in Tournament of Power, with a lot of fodder type characters. Most characters people have no interest in me covering, so for the sake of entertainment, I'll leave them out. But know that Vegeta will beat all of these characters, and Goku will beat all of Vegeta's characters as well. Anyways, back to the video. Vegeta versus 𝗪𝗏𝗁. Now this fight is an interesting one for sure, mainly because of 𝗪𝗏𝗁's absorption ability. Essentially, the more damage he takes, the stronger he becomes. Though he's not insanely strong in terms of standard power, so it's really determined by how strong Vegeta decides to make him. I will give Vegeta a slight advantage in tournament settings. It seems that he's more likely to go all out or try much harder than others right off the bat. How he feels about his opponents determines this as well. Recall his earlier fights against Frost, 𝗕𝗫, 𝗕𝗫𝗅, and Vegeta. With Frost and 𝗕𝗫, Vegeta showed either full power or enough power to get the job done, and what Vegeta felt was sufficient. Even in non-tournaments like against Goku Black, Vegeta goes full power right off the bat. So it's a good chance that Vegeta goes blue right off the bat and takes 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝗧 out before he becomes strong enough to resist. However, if Vegeta toys around with him even a little bit, he would actually lose, probably really bad. When Goku fights him just by playing around with him in Super Saiyan for a little bit, he was able to push back a blue Kaioken Goku's Kamehameha for a moment, until Goku seemingly amped it up a bit more, and 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝗧 did good. At this time, Goku should be above Vegeta with Kaioken, and possibly just in Super Saiyan Blue, so Vegeta will decide ultimately how this fight goes. Most likely a victory, but only Zeno knows. Vegeta vs Toppo. In this fight, Vegeta gets to fight Top a little earlier than he normally would. This fight has a restriction, it seems like. According to the Grand Priest at the end of the fight between Goku and Top, one of them, if not both of them, would have died if the fight continued, and he stopped the match because of that. However, if they didn't reach that point, he most likely would have let it go on. Since Vegeta doesn't have Kaioken, his fight with Top should be similar to how his went with Goku. Before Top began to power up, it was apparent that Super Saiyan Blue was his limit, so this fight will result in a draw. Vegeta vs Frieza. This is actually a very interesting fight, one that I've spoken about on my podcast before, the Saiyan podcast. Shameless plug. So I won't talk about it here. If you do want to hear my opinion on it though, and some other people insert their opinions, click the link below. I'll leave the podcast there, and the episode. Goku vs Vegeta. This will pretty much go the same as before. Ultimately, Goku's determination and skill would likely prove decisive in this matchup, allowing him to overcome Vegeta's formidable defenses and secure victory. Whether through sheer power, tactical brilliance, or a combination of both, Goku's unwavering resolve would undoubtedly lead him to emerge triumphant in this battle. We really don't know how resistant Vegeta is, but he's not Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken level, I can say that. So regardless of how strong Vegeta is, he's not as strong as that. And if Goku needs to resort to which, he will, and he will win. Vegeta and Hit vs Pride Troopers. So I think this might actually be the most unlikely odd matchup in this versus swap. Character, Vegeta will most likely just watch Hit get jumped, and do very little to stop it from happening. However, in this scenario, we'll just say he steps in to save Universe 6 for 𝗕𝗏𝗂𝗧 sake. Regardless, Hit and Vegeta will fight alone. Goku didn't really help Hit much against Dispo anyways. Hit eventually adapted to Dispo's speed and beat him soundly while Goku put pressure on the other Pride Trooper. So nothing really happens here. Vegeta vs Caulifla. This fight will be cool to see. I like the idea of Vegeta interacting with the Universe 6 Saiyans more than Goku. Since he remembers the Saiyans, we could get some much needed insight on the past. It doesn't last long though, and it's interrupted by the next fight. Now this one could be controversial. In the KO fight, we see her throwing Super Saiyan Blue Goku around by the face, and for the longest time, people would scale 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝗧 to being above or as strong as Super Saiyan Blue Goku, which couldn't be farther from the truth. Understand that Goku was suppressed versus KO heavily. KO got one-shotted by Jiren, whereas Goku put up much more of a fight. Not to mention that KO mastered this berserker state, and was still inferior to God Goku. So yeah, Vegeta was trying, he should have no problem. Since Vegeta wouldn't stand for the disrespect of being tossed around like a ragdoll, he would most likely do her like he did Broly, turning into Super Saiyan God and blasting her around. Vegeta vs Jiren. First time. This hypothetical scenario presents an intriguing twist to the narrative, potentially sparking controversy and debate among fans regarding the outcome of the battle against Vegeta and Jiren. Vegeta's performance against Jiren, while undoubtedly impressive, could be seen as a reflection of his strategic approach and meticulous observation of Goku's earlier battle. With ample time to study Jiren's techniques and fighting style, Vegeta would enter the fray with a deeper understanding of his opponent's strength and weaknesses. This tactical advantage might allow Vegeta to capitalize on openings and opportunities that Goku may have overlooked during his initial encounter with Jiren. Vegeta's ability to land multiple clean blows on Jiren, perhaps even surpassing Goku's feats of landing only one blow, could stir controversy among fans regarding the true extent of Vegeta's strength and prowess in comparison to Goku. Some may argue that Vegeta's superior performance against Jiren demonstrates his growth as a fighter and his ability to adapt to formidable opponents, while others may attribute it to his strategic preparation and observer skills rather than raw power alone. Furthermore, Vegeta's bold declarations to Jiren about not being as good as when he fought Goku adds another layer of complexity to the interpretation of the fight. While some may view Vegeta's statement as a sign of his confidence and belief in his own abilities, others may question the validity of his comparison to Goku and whether it undermines his own achievements in battle. Hard to say. I'll let you guys decide. Of course he would lose to Jiren, but would he do better than Goku? You tell me. Vegeta vs Kefla. This is the fight I would pay to see. Prospect of a showdown between Vegeta and Kefla is undeniably tantalizing and would undoubtedly be a spectacle to behold on screen. However, this battle would hinge significantly on Vegeta's strategic decisions and ability to adapt to Kefla's overwhelming power. Individually, Vegeta possesses the strength to contend with both Kale and Caulifla. However, their fusion into Kefla presents a formidable challenge, particularly given Kefla's status as the Broly archetype, a type of opponent that historically proved difficult for Vegeta to overcome. While Vegeta typically engages in more direct confrontation with less finesse compared to Goku, Kefla's evolved power and techniques demand more of a nuanced approach. Kefla's immense power, as evidenced by her ability to push Goku to the brink even in his Ultra Instinct Oma state, possesses a grave threat to Vegeta, especially since he lacks Goku's instinctual dodging capability. This would force Vegeta to confront these attacks head-on, risking severe injury or worse. In a hypothetical scenario where Vegeta attains his blue form, he may stand a chance of turning the tide with a concise final flash attack. If Vegeta fails to assess this level of power, he could find himself outmatched and facing a devastating defeat akin to his struggles against foes like Kid Buu. Vegeta vs. Jiren, last time. Goku vs. 𝗕𝗫𝗣𝗡. The prospect of a battle between Goku and 𝗕𝗫𝗡 offers a captivating scenario ripe with potential for epic clashes and strategic maneuver. While Vegeta's encounter with Jiren may lean towards a predictable outcome, the duel between Goku and 𝗕𝗫𝗡 could unfold in a more nuanced and intriguing manner. Given that Blue Kaioken and Goku and Evolution Vegeta are relatively equal in terms of power, Goku's confrontation with 𝗕𝗫𝗡 could indeed be a riveting spectacle. The evenly matched power between Goku and 𝗕𝗫𝗡 sets the stage for a battle of wits and strength, where every move and tactic could tip the scales in favor of one warrior or the other. However, similar to the situation Vegeta faces against Kefla, Goku may need to tap into higher levels of power to unlock, or new transformations to stand a chance against 𝗕𝗫𝗡's formidable might. Without such achievements, Goku may find himself struggling to keep up with 𝗕𝗫𝗡's overwhelming strength and combat prowess. In contrast to Vegeta's victory over 𝗕𝗫𝗡, which relied on the technique from the Buu Saga, allowing him to self-destruct with overwhelming power, Goku lacks a similar trump card in his arsenal. This places Goku at a potential disadvantage against 𝗕𝗫𝗡, as he must rely solely on his existing techniques and abilities to overcome his opponent. To emerge victorious against 𝗕𝗫𝗡, Goku may need to push his limits further than ever before, perhaps by unlocking a higher level of Kaioken technique, or tapping into the formidable power of Ultra Instinct Omega. Without such advancements, Goku risks falling short against 𝗕𝗫𝗡's relentless assault and overwhelming strength. Though if Goku could possibly use a Kaioken times 30, or just something a bit above 20, he should be able to close the gap. Vegeta, Frieza, and 17 versus Jiren. The culmination of the Swap series in Dragon Ball Super has us at a bittersweet conclusion. With the fate of the universe hanging in the balance as the final battle unfolds, the glimmer of hope rests on the unlikely alliance between Vegeta and Frieza, a pairing fraught with tension and mistrust from the start. As they face off against their formidable opponent, the somber realization sets in that this may not end well. In the climactic showdown against Jiren, victory ultimately hinges on the flawless coordination and synergy between Goku, Frieza, and 17. The perfectly executed combo attacks are the key to overcoming Jiren's overwhelming power and securing the fate of the universe. It's a testament to the power of teamwork and determination in the face of insurmountable odds. Their long-standing rivalry and deep-seated animosity, especially on Vegeta's end, may prove to be an insurmountable obstacle, preventing them from effectively cooperating to defeat their common enemy. As the battle reaches its climax, the tension between them only serves to exacerbate the already dire situation. In all honesty, I really don't think that Vegeta will be able to pull it off. We've seen him tuck his pride before to win scenarios, but this is more than just the pride. Everything that they did seemed to lead to Jiren's defeat. Any little decisive thing that was wrong or out of place could have resulted in a different outcome. So because of that, I'll just say they would probably lose. So what are your thoughts on these battles? Did I miss any important swaps or unrelated ones? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this anime-only Super Swap series, let me know if you'd like to see a manga version or any potential swaps in the future. Until next time, hey everyone, MajinBird here, and today we'll be talking about if Goku and Vegeta swap fights in Dragon Ball GT. This is a continuation of an ongoing series I created on this channel. Previously, we swapped all of Goku and Vegeta's fights in Dragon Ball Z, and you guys seem to like it. I've got plenty of comments telling me to continue it, so without further ado, let's hop into it. It became apparent to me when rewatching the series again, GT Goku is a troll. He's constantly losing in base form, or seeming to, turning Super Saiyan then winning, or winning in Super Saiyan, loses, then wins in base form. It's a bit of a confusing thing, so I'll be doing my best to be the most accurate I can be. So for Goku, he'll be chilling on Earth pretty much the whole time. His battle will be with life, and the occasional Chi-Chi nagging. Meanwhile, Vegeta will be taking a trip into space with his son, and his rival's granddaughter. Now, for the scaling of GT Vegeta, this can be seen in two different ways. From rewatching GT again, it's been apparent to me that Goku up until baby Vegeta never actually had to use his full power, since he never used Super Saiyan 3 or felt the need to up until that point. In addition to that, there wasn't any real time I could point out when Goku brutally lost to someone. This reason is important because I don't have real concrete evidence that Goku from the beginning of GT grew in power any until the baby side. Because of that, the Goku that fought baby Vegeta and his disciples before falling into that strange dimension should be the same Goku from the start of GT. I guess you could make a Saiyan fight argument, something along the lines of Goku fighting in general just makes him stronger, which I'm not completely mad at, but I'm not going to use that logic for this video. We get a more direct comparison to Goku and Vegeta when we see them fight baby Goten and Gohan. If we compare their performances, base Goku would no doubtly be above Super Saiyan Vegeta, just off the simple fact that Goku not only had no trouble dealing with them, but he did it in base. Vegeta was able to overpower Super Saiyan Gohan in the beam struggle, but when Goten got involved, it did start to get a bit tricky. Baby being in Super Saiyan with the white hair also suggests that Vegeta was only in Super Saiyan, since that's the form that he took when he took Vegeta's body. Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta should be above baby Goten and Gohan, and scale around base Goku, or slightly even higher. Hard to say, but he would be within the realm. However, this would suggest that anything above base Goku would scale far above Vegeta, including Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2. Just a little something to keep in mind while we're going on in this versus. Vegeta versus Ledgic. The brief but impactful encounter between Goku and Ledgic in Dragon Ball GT offered a glimpse into the unique dynamics of the GT universe. Ledgic's stoic demeanor invoked memories of the legendary Pikkon, adding an intriguing layer to his character despite the limited screen time. While the fight didn't delve deeply into Ledgic's abilities, his enigmatic presence left a lasting impression on viewers. One of the highlights of this battle was witnessing Super Saiyan Goku and GT for the first time. This momentous occasion generated significant excitement among fans as Goku unleashed his Super Saiyan power in a thrilling confrontation with Legend. The debut of Super Saiyan Goku and GT added a layer of anticipation and hype to the fight, marking a milestone in the series. Regarding a hypothetical matchup between Vegeta and Ledgic, it's reasonable to assume that Vegeta's Super Saiyan form would give him the upper hand. Ledgic, while formidable, doesn't appear to possess the power level of a Super Saiyan Goku, as evident by Goku's ability to defeat him with relative ease in a brief clash. Given Vegeta's strength and combat prowess, it's likely that he would emerge victorious against Ledgic in his Super Saiyan 2 at the most. Vegeta, Trunks, and Pan versus 𝗕𝗫𝗅𝗏 brothers. In the original encounter with the 𝗕𝗫𝗅𝗏 brothers, Goku, Trunks, and Pan found themselves ensnared by a hypnotic music, unable to resist its effects. Their inability to defeat the 𝗕𝗫𝗅𝗏 brothers without the intervention from the worm parasites highlighted the formidable nature of the hypnotic technique. If Vegeta were caught in the same situation, it's reasonable to assume that he would also fall victim to the hypnotic song, compelled to dance like his companions. However, there exists a crucial moment before the hypnosis takes full hold, where Vegeta's proactive nature could come into play. With his keen sense of awareness and combat instincts, Vegeta might recognize the impending threat posed by the 𝗕𝗫𝗅𝗏 brothers' music and take swift action to neutralize them before they unleash their hypnotic ability. In doing so, Vegeta could secure an easy victory for himself and his allies, preventing the 𝗕𝗫𝗅𝗏 brothers gaining the upper hand. Then he would lose to the worm, cause Vegeta doesn't like worms. Fun fact of the day, did you know that 𝗓𝗪𝗁𝗓𝗓 is actually voiced by Buuhan? Take a listen.
Why don't you cough up the other Dragon Ball you have in your possession before I start to get angry? Nice bravado. I bet you won't talk so tough once I get my hands on you.
Just wanted to point this out. 𝗵𝗁𝗓𝗓 versus Vegeta. In the confrontation with 𝗵𝗁𝗓𝗓, the initial encounter saw Super Saiyan Goku facing considerable resistance from his formidable opponent. However, it was apparent that Goku was deliberately holding back his power, opting to instead assess 𝗵𝗁𝗓𝗓's abilities before unleashing his true strength. When Super Saiyan Trunks intervened with a potent blast that incapacitated 𝗵𝗁𝗓𝗓, it underscored the notion that Goku had chosen to exert himself fully. He would have been more capable of defeating his adversary on his own. Given Goku's tendency to cautiously measure his opponents and a clear display of his latent power during the encounter, it's reasonable to surmise that Goku could have emerged victorious without external aid had he engaged in the battle with full determination. Therefore, considering Goku's reserve power and his potential to overcome 𝗵𝗁𝗓𝗓, it's plausible to attribute the victory to Super Saiyan Vegeta as well, possibly even Super Saiyan 2. Lud versus Vegeta. In the encounter with Lud, Goku's approach seemed to indicate that the adversary posed a challenge primarily at the base power level. There wasn't a compelling need for Goku to elevate to higher forms for an extended duration during the battle, implying that Lud's speed and strength were within the range manageable by base Goku and Trunks. Which is funny, since Lud should be stronger than 𝗵𝗁𝗓𝗓, yet Goku went Super Saiyan against 𝗵𝗁𝗓𝗓. See what I mean? Despite Lud appearing seemingly invincible from an external perspective, with his heart weakness being the only discernible vulnerability, Goku refrained from resorting to high power levels, suggesting that he assessed Lud's capabilities to be within his current range. Considering Goku's strategic approach and his decision not to escalate to higher forms, it's plausible that he believed his base power was sufficient to handle Lud's threats effectively. This implies that Lud's speed and strength were comparable to base Goku and Trunks, suggesting that a higher level of power might have been unnecessary to defeat him. If Goku had opted to utilize a higher level of power, such as Super Saiyan or beyond, it's conceivable that he could have shattered Lud's defenses, although the specifics remain speculative. Given that Vegeta would have been afforded the same opportunity as Goku to assess Lud's capabilities and vulnerabilities, it's reasonable to infer that Vegeta too would have been able to navigate the battle effectively and potentially exploit Lud's weaknesses without the need for escalating to higher form. The Sigma Force versus Vegeta. The Sigma Force, presumably a powerful entity in its own right, might have initially underestimated Goku's capability. Much like many other opponents have done in the past, Goku's base form, while seemingly ordinary compared to his more powerful transformation like Super Saiyan, conceals immense latent power that often catches opponents off guard. During the initial stages of the confrontation, Goku engaged the Sigma Force members with his base form, utilizing his agility, combat experience, and tactical prowess to assess their strengths and weaknesses. This strategy allowed Goku to gather crucial information about his opponent's fighting styles and ability while conserving his energy for when it's truly needed. Vegeta should win in Super Saiyan, or Super Saiyan 2 at best. General Rildo versus Vegeta. General Rildo, also known as Commander Rildo, is indeed a standout character in the Dragon Ball universe, particularly in the GT series. His demeanor and approach to combat led him in a unique charm that distinguishes him from many other adversaries. Rildo exudes a sense of class and sophistication in his battles, but sets him apart from more than just a mere brutal force. One of the most intriguing aspects of Rildo is his ability to engage with Goku on a level beyond mere physical confrontation. He understands and appreciates Goku's Saiyan nature, which is deeply rooted in the thrill of battle and pursuit of strength. Rildo's willingness to entertain Goku's desire for a challenging fight showcases his respect for his opponent's warrior spirit. Despite Rildo's formidable abilities and tactical prowess, he finds himself outmatched when facing Goku in his base form. Even when Goku transforms into a Super Saiyan, it becomes evident that Goku is not fighting out of necessity defeat, but rather for sheer joy of combat. The prospect of Vegeta being able to match Rildo's performance is certainly plausible, given Vegeta's own pride as a Saiyan warrior and his relentless pursuit of strength like Goku. Like Goku, Vegeta thrives on the excitement of battle and would undoubtedly relish the opportunity to test his skills against a formidable opponent like Rildo. Though here, General Rildo was no match for base Goku. Even though Goku turned Super Saiyan, he clearly did it here for the thrill of the battle, so Vegeta should be able to do just as well. General Rildo Phase 2. As the battle unfolds, Goku initially engages Rildo in his Super Saiyan form, sensing that the increased threat posed by the fusion. However, much to everyone's surprise, Goku's power is revealed to be suppressed, masking his true strength. This suppression might have been a tactical decision on Goku's part, perhaps to gauge the fusion's power without revealing his full potential too soon. Utilizing his unparalleled combat skills and strategic acumen, Goku manages to hold his own against the overwhelming might of Rildo fused with the Sigma Force. His suppressed power serves as a testament to Goku's mastery over his abilities and his ability to adapt to any situation. Because of this, I'd say Vegeta wins. Probably mid-difficulty though. Metal Rildo vs. Vegeta. The matchup between General Rildo and Super Saiyan Goku indeed stands out as one of the most intriguing battles in Dragon Ball GT, offering a blend of intense action and strategic depth that captivates fans. The clash showcases the complexity of power dynamics and the unpredictability of battles between formidable opponents. The controversy surrounding his matchup stems from the uncertainty regarding Goku's power level in his Super Saiyan form during the fight against Metal Rildo. Despite Goku's impressive display of strength, it's evidence that he struggles more against this Rildo compared to the previous ones. This raises questions about whether Goku was holding back or if there were other factors at play. Moreover, Goku's apparent loss to Rildo, albeit under suspicious circumstances, adds another layer of intrigue to the matchup. This matchup leaves room for interpretation and fuels debates among fans regarding the true outcome of the battle. The introduction of Super Saiyan Vegeta to the equation further complicates matters. While it's established that Vegeta in his Super Saiyan form is below Goku's base form, the power dynamics between Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta and base Goku remain uncertain. This ambiguity makes it challenging to determine the definitive winner for this hypothetical matchup, so I'm not mad if you go either way, but my money's on Rildo. Vegeta, Trunks, and Pan versus Baby. Vegeta being in these positions won't really change anything. Baby will escape and find his way to Earth eventually. In this alternate scenario where Goku becomes a target for conversion into a minion of Baby, the narrative takes an intriguing turn, potentially leading to a different outcome compared to Vegeta's ordeal. Despite being targeted and facing the threat of becoming a minion, Goku's resilience and strength may ultimately prevail, especially considering his previous encounters with Baby-possessed individuals. When Goku faced Gohan and Goten, who were under the control of Baby, he demonstrated his ability to overcome the influence and incapacitate them without causing lasting harm. Since when he fought them on his own, he was able to easily dispose of Gohan and Goten, even knocking them out of base form. He would most likely just incapacitate them in this case. They won't be able to take his body. Gohan and Goten versus Vegeta. Morning. In the reverse of this fight that we just did, Vegeta will be facing a Gohan and Goten hell-bent on killing him rather than trying to take his body. In this scenario, I could see Vegeta prevailing, since Vegeta in Super Saiyan was above Gohan, and though he struggled when Goten started to jump in, we know that Vegeta was still holding back in the Super Saiyan form. And Vegeta had Super Saiyan 2, as confirmed by Baby being in Vegeta's Super Saiyan state when he stole his body. So I'd say it's a good chance full power Vegeta could beat Gohan and Goten. Vegeta versus Baby Goku. This honestly would be the biggest slaughter of the verse. There's no way that Vegeta would be able to defeat Goku, just in his base form really. However, if we put Vegeta through the same scenario and give him Super Saiyan 4, I think this would be maybe even a better matchup than Vegeta versus Rildo. To be honest, it would be nice to see, though I don't know if Vegeta could pull it off. This is another one that I will leave up to you guys, but I mean hey, fanfics go crazy. Vegeta versus Frieza and Cell in Hell. At this point in the series, Vegeta is much stronger than Frieza and Cell, and would easily bully them in his base form, just like Goku did. Goku versus Hellfighter 17. Indeed, the prospect of Goku facing off against Android 17, particularly in both Dragon Ball Super and Dragon Ball GT, adds an interesting layer of continuity and comparison across different universes and iterations. While the circumstances of each encounter may vary, the underlying theme of Goku's enduring spirit and determination remains a constant. In the context of this hypothetical scenario, Goku's battle against Hellfighter 17 in GT presents an intriguing match. Unlike Vegeta, who struggled to damage 17, albeit in his Super Saiyan form, Goku should hold a considerable advantage over his opponents at this point in the story. Given Goku's continuous training and progression throughout the series, he would likely possess a significant power advantage over Hellfighter 17, even in his base form. Goku's innate fighting prowess combined with his strategic thinking and combat experience would enable him to effectively counter and neutralize 17's abilities. Easy dub for Goku, unless of course then the other 17 shows up. He'll turn Super 17 and everything will do the same. Goku versus Super 17 first, then Vegeta. This fight will go exactly as the original did. Goku will beat 17 with the help of 18, and Vegeta will pretty much just show up after. Or maybe it'll be Vegeta and Goku. Oh, I almost forgot. Goku versus Nappa again. Hey Shenron versus Vegeta. This Shenron is pretty weak as far as the Shadow Dragons go. Face painted Goku was able to take care of him, so Vegeta should have no problem putting a stop to him much earlier instead of letting him get so strong. Rage Shenron versus Vegeta. Super Saiyan 4 Goku struggled against this Shenron and didn't deliver enough power to win, though he didn't use the ×10 so he was holding back. To what extent is hard to say, so Vegeta could possibly lose unless he lasts long enough to exploit his rain weak. Nah, then it's a L. Uchiha and Shenron versus Vegeta. Given that base Pain and Goku were capable of handling him, Vegeta should have no issue stopping her much earlier, rather than allowing her to become so powerful that she posed a threat. Shenron versus Vegeta. Since Goku felt the need to go Super Saiyan 4, this threat would be too much for pre-Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta to handle. However, it seemed as though it was more of a Pan situation. If he didn't absorb Pan, Goku would have beat him much easier, and most likely without Super Saiyan 4. Since Pan would still be here though, it does still imply if he doesn't pull the clever technique Goku did to get Pan out of him, then it could be a very hard fought battle. Since Vegeta would only have Super Saiyan 2 at this point. Another debatable one, but I'll give it to Vegeta. Nova and Ice Shenron versus Vegeta. In this scenario, facing off against Nova and Ice Shenron will prove to be a formidable challenge for Vegeta, with the odds stacked against him. Nova and Ice Shenron, possessing powers comparable to Super Saiyan 4 Goku, present a daunting threat that Vegeta would struggle greatly to overcome. Nova Shenron, with his fiery prowess and agility, compelled with Ice Shenron's icy abilities and cunning tactics, form a formidable duo that will push Vegeta to his limits. Their powers rival that of Super Saiyan 4 Goku, making them formidable adversaries not to be underestimated. Despite Vegeta's strength and determination, he would find himself outmatched against the might of Nova and Ice. Their relentless onslaught of strategic maneuvers would force Vegeta into a defensive position, leaving him vulnerable to their devastating attack. Inevitably, Vegeta would find himself overwhelmed by the sheer power and cunning of them. Despite his valiant efforts, the battle would ultimately end in defeat for Vegeta, highlighting the immense challenge posed by these powerful dragons. Shenron versus Vegeta. In the scenario where GT Vegeta faces Shenron without accessing Super Saiyan 4, the odds are heavily stacked against him. Shenron, the most powerful of the Shadow Dragons, possesses immense strength, speed, and cunning, making him a formidable opponent even for a Saiyan warrior like Vegeta. Overall, in a battle against Shenron without accessing Super Saiyan 4, GT Vegeta would likely find himself outmatched and overwhelmed by the sheer power and cunning of his adversary. Despite his determination and fighting spirit, Vegeta will ultimately fall short in the face of Shenron's formidable might. Omega Shenron versus Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. In this case, Vegeta should have Super Saiyan 4, which should be even with Goku's given that they were able to fuse without a mention of Goku needing to lower his energy. Although Goku was fighting for a while, and he did receive a lot of damage from Omega Shenron, so it's possible Goku was actually stronger than Vegeta here too. But I'll leave the argument up to interpretation. This should go pretty much just like Goku. He's not going to win, but he'll pull off some flashy techniques, I'm sure. Things that we've never seen. So what are your thoughts on these battles? Did I miss any important swaps or underrated ones? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this GT swap, be sure to let me know if you'd like to see a different version of this, of any type of anime, or of other Dragon Ball characters. I can't wait to see what swaps you guys come up with. Until next time.